Hey guys, and welcome back to the Zackwix YouTube channel. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're taking a step back from the games, and I thought let's do a tier list. And today's tier list is on the MCU. For those who know, I'm a big fan of the MCU. We've got all the films and all the shows lined up to the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. On the tier we have an S tier, an A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, E tier, and then there is one film that I'm still yet to see, so I can't really put it in the ranking. But if you enjoy this, please like, subscribe, and then comment down below I subscribed, and I will reply to as many as I can. Straight off the bat, we're just going to get to the film I haven't seen yet, which is Black Panther Wakanda Forever. I really want to see this movie, but I haven't seen it, so I can't officially rank it. So yeah, that one's the only one I'm still yet to see. But we're going to go through release order, starting with Iron Man 1. Iron Man 1, I think, is an A tier film. I think it's a perfect start for the MCU. It introduces everyone's favourite billionaire playboy philanthropist. The whole story as a whole is just amazing. Yeah, A tier film, love it. Robert Downey Jr., perfect casting. Jeff Bridges again as the villain Obadiah Stane, perfect casting. Oh yeah. Next up is the Incredible Hulk. Now, necessarily I don't have a problem with this film. I think it's a D tier though. I just think it. I think the Hulk scenes, like the action scenes, were good. It just had a few too many plots, and then it had they unresolved them towards the end, like they didn't finish them. Again, it was the only one with Edward Norton in as the Incredible Hulk. After they recast him in the Avengers as Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, I think D tier for the Incredible Hulk. I'm not a massive fan. Same goes for Iron Man 2 actually. I love the first Iron Man. I think it's a brilliant, amazing film. But Iron Man 2 kinda lacks urgency trying to get towards the end. It has one too many. I think it has two villains, doesn't it? Whiplash and Justin Hammer. Wasn't a fan of either of them. Whiplash kind of gets sidelined, I thought, in the middle of the film. And Justin Hammer, I just don't like the idea of having someone who wants to be Tony Stark but fails miserably at it. I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, so Iron Man 2 is a D tier film for me. Up next is Thor. Thor, I think, is a C tier. Yeah, I give it C. I think the castings were brilliant. Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Natalie Portman as Jane Foster, Tom Hiddleston as Loki. Absolutely perfect. But the only problems I have with it is it's just sometimes Thor can be a little insufferable with his ego. And when he gets to Earth, it's kind of like this fish out of water thing. It doesn't really work well, I found. I think the fight between him and Loki at the end is pretty cool though. And again, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, superb casting, I can't lie. Captain America, the First Avenger. I think this is a C tier as well. I think it's better than Thor. Also, when I'm ranking these, I'll be putting them in order of which I think is better by tier. So normally I would do it as Thor, Captain America, but I think Captain America is better than Thor, so I'll put it in front of it. But yeah, Captain America, the First Avenger, I think is a brilliant film. I wouldn't say it's B or A. I don't think it's there because there are, looking at this list, there are tons more better films. But I think it kickstarts Captain America off perfectly. Chris Evans, perfect casting. The whole World War II aesthetic as well, bringing like the World War II stuff coming in, brilliant. I love the scene where he gets his super soldier suit and starts chasing after the Hydra person. Yeah, I just think it's brilliant. Yeah. All right, First Avengers, it's an S tier. Straight out of the bag, it's an S tier. Avengers Assemble, such a good crossover. It was the first crossover movie in the MCU, and they played it perfectly. All of them did a perfect job. The story as well went really well. Loki as the villain again in this one, smashed it out of the park. And it set up the rest of the MCU, I think, perfectly. Alright, so yeah, S tier for the Avengers. Iron Man 3, I'm gonna say C. I think it's better than Thor, but not as good as the first Avenger, Captain America. But Iron Man 3, well, I don't think it was terrible, but I wouldn't say it's good. Well, I wouldn't say it's amazing. I'd say it's alright. I just think with the whole Mandarin thing and Aldrich Killian being the real Mandarin and having that Ben Kingsley role being a fake Mandarin was a bit of a strange choice in my opinion. But yeah, that's probably my major issue with it, is the fake Mandarin. As a whole, I think it's alright, yeah. There's not really much more to say about it. Next up is Thor: The Dark World. Yeah. Sorry, Thor, but you're an E tier movie. Thor: The Dark World. It tries to be too many different things. I think it tries comedy, like going in, and then goes into like the dark part. Yeah, it just has too many genres to try and go for. It introduces the reality stone, but I think it could have done better how they introduced it. I'm just realised my mic's not down. You probably can't hear me. There we go. That's my fault. Even so, the villain in this one, Malekith, I just find forgettable, and he lacked that threat role that you normally get in a Marvel villain. Yeah, so there's just a lack of threat in this. Captain America: The Winter Soldier, I think is an A tier. Yeah, I love The Winter Soldier. I think it's brilliant. I wouldn't say it's better than Iron Man, but yeah, The Winter Soldier. I didn't see it when it came out. I saw it a few years later when I was going back, when I actually started paying attention to the MCU. But The Winter Soldier I thought was amazing. Chris Evans and Scarlett Johansson smashed out of the park. The whole thing with Bucky Barnes, I thought they did amazing. Bringing that role back, how they played off Nick Fury in this was as well. I thought was good. I was quite satisfied. Yeah, so I think this is an amazing movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think, is also an A-tier film. I think it was a good way to introduce these goofy heroes. I absolutely love Drax in this. Groot as well. That sacrifice at the end. They've done it so well. Ronan, I weren't a big fan of as the villain, but I think the way they did the conflict at the end was funny. The dance off at the end, as well as the space battle over Xandar, I think was brilliant. But yeah, Ronan as a whole, didn't really enjoy him. Nothing against him, it's just weren't my cup of tea. This was the first actual time we saw. I think was this the first time Josh Brolin appeared as Thanos? I think it was. Yeah, it just established more of that looming threat coming later on in the series. But yeah, I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was an A tier. Avengers: Age of Ultron. This is the only Avengers film that I thought they tried too much with it. I think it's better than Iron Man 2 and the Hulk, but no more than a D tier for me. I like the idea of including Ultron, but it's once again another villain that's motivated because of something Tony Stark has done, which, again, it comes in later down the line, but when you have two from Iron Man 2 in there, it kind of just gets a little tedious after time. And there are more films in here where there's a villain motivated by Tony Stark. But as a whole, they tried too many things, in my opinion. They brought in the Vision, Wanda Maximoff, and Quicksilver. Quicksilver is a shame for me because I thought it was a bit of a waste of the character, having introduced him and then killing him off so soon killing him off so soon after redeeming him. Yeah, but nothing more than a D tier. Ant-Man, the first Ant-Man, I think is a B tier film. Yeah, nothing more really. Yeah, Paul Rudd, perfect casting for Ant-Man, as he's kind of the goofy, like kind of jokey character, not really understanding anything. Oh, excuse me. I think Corey Stoll as the villain Yellow Jacket. I think he was okay, weren't too like crazy about it, but I also didn't have a major issue with it. I think Michael Douglas as Hank Pym was also brilliant, and Evangeline Lilly as Hope. Not to mention Michael Pena as Luis, who has just the funniest scenes in this film with his storytelling. But moving on, Captain America: Civil War, I think is an S tier. I think the idea of bringing that like very famous comic book to this and having it doing it before Infinity War was such a good idea made by from Kevin Feige. Because it actually plays into Infinity War as well, because it's the team split. There's no Avengers pretty much. But I just think the whole stake of this film, it's like the breakdown of the Avengers and the ending fight scene between Cap and Iron Man. It's just done so perfectly, and I absolutely love it. It was the introduction of Spider-Man to the MCU as well as Black Panther as well, who are two of my favourite Marvel superheroes. But yeah, next up is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange, I'd say, is a B tier. Yeah, I think it's better than Ant-Man though. Yeah, I think Doctor Strange it's got the best visual effects throughout the whole MCU. Some of the scenes with like within the mirror dimension, and when they're casting the spells, it's absolutely brilliantly done. Who was the villain? It's Dormammu and what was his name? Caecilius. Yeah, Caecilius I think is forgettable. Weren't really bothered by Caecilius. Dormammu I think should have had more of a imposing threat rather than just having the 20 minutes at the end. I think that's what would have made it better for me. But yeah, overall B tier film. I think it's great. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume. Ooh, excuse me. There's my drink. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm torn between B and C. I'm gonna go B though, because I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 is actually, it's pretty enjoyable. Not at the same level as the first film. I think the whole Peter Quill meeting his birth dad, quite like that idea, but having him not revealed as the villain, like they kind of held it off until like the last maybe half an hour of 45 minutes of the film. Just holding that off, it just lacks any urgency to get to that point, and there's nothing really more to say. I think all the guys in this bit, Michael Rooker as Yondu, made me cry so much. Oh, I miss Yondu. Yeah, just a lack of real threat from the villain. I don't think Ego was bad. Yeah, just a lack of threat. Next is Spider-Man: Homecoming. I'm putting Homecoming at A tier. Yeah, I think it kind of brings you into that. Was that my camera messing up? Oh bloody hell! Everything's going wrong today. Oof. Okay, Spider-Man: Homecoming. I think it was a brilliant way to introduce like the street level hero, like stuff. I think the Vulture as well is just an amazing villain. Villain. I can't speak today. Villain. Michael Keaton does a really good job as this. Tom Holland as well, super choice for Spider-Man. Only problem is with Vulture is it's another villain motivated by stuff Tony Stark has done. But overall, I think it's an A tier film. Yeah, I love a bit of Homecoming. Happily sit down and read. Thor Ragnarok, again, it's an A tier film. I think it's better than both Homecoming and Guardians, but not as good as The Winter Soldier. Actually, do I think it's better? No, I think Guardians is better actually. Yeah, but Thor Ragnarok, it took a turn for the better with Thor Ragnarok. I think they played off the comedy so well with it. Korg is brilliant. The director Taika Waititi, was his first film with Thor, like directing it, and I think he done an amazing job with it. Yeah. Hela as well posed a really threatening villain as well to me. I think she was one of the better villains out of the MCU. But yeah, I'd say A tier. Yeah, perfect. Black Panther. Where do I put Black Panther? I'm torn between A tier and B tier. Where do I put you? No, I'm gonna come back to Black Panther because I'm struggling to put that because I really like Black Panther. Avengers Infinity War S tier film. It is brilliant. It's everything that this whole Star of the Saga led up to, and the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo, played it perfectly. They did an amazing job with directing this. I think Thanos is the best villain out of the whole MCU. He's got just that threatening behaviour, getting all the stones, and yeah, absolutely smashed it. I love how all the heroes split apart after Civil War and they're all goth doing this. You got Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange and the Guardians on Titan. You've got Cap, Black Panther, the Falcon, and all the other heroes up in Wakanda. And then the sacrifice is made as well. So Strange given the Time Stone, I think, was brilliant. And even that ending scene as well teared me up. So yeah, Avengers Infinity War, I think it's the best film in the MCU. Without a doubt, the best film. We're going to move on to Ant-Man and the Wasp next. I'm putting Ant-Man and the Wasp in C tier above all of these. I think it kind of... So, after the ending of Infinity War, it's kind of a nice step back. Oh my god, my camera. As I was saying, it's kind of a nice step back from the ending Infinity War gave. I think it was more comedic based, I think, and it had some emotional beats trying to bring back Hank Pym's wife as well as Hope Van Dyne's mom. I think Paul Rudd as Scott Lang again does a brilliant job in this. It shows the effects that that Civil War had on Scott actually and what happened to Hope and Hank with the suit. So I thought that was brilliantly played off. My only problem is I don't like the villain. Yeah, I think Hannah John Carmen's Ghost was a good casting. It just didn't really work in with everything else. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Ghost. I thought she was quite cool with some of their abilities though. But yeah, not a big fan of Ghost. Captain Marvel, I'm saying E tier. I'm saying it's better than the Dark World, but I think it's just an E tier film. Nothing really much about it. I love Nick Fury in this film. Just think they lacked stuff to do for actual Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. Because by the start of the film, she's already quite powerful. She's just got amnesia, and everyone's telling her this and that, and then she goes to Earth, finds out everything out. But yeah, I quite like the Skrulls in it as well, how they were showcased as the villain. They're genuinely just trying to find a home, and it was actually the Kree that are the villains. I quite like that term. But yeah, I love Nick Fury in this, just lacks things to do for your main character. Weren't a big fan of, what's his name? Oh, he's played by Jude Law. I think it's Yon-Rogg. I think that's his name. I didn't like him in the film. Yeah, I weren't a big fan of Yon-Rogg. Next up, Avengers Endgame. Going straight up there. I think it's better than Civil War, just not as good as the prior two Avengers, but way better than Age of Ultron, saying that. Endgame, I remember seeing this at cinemas and I was absolutely amazed. I think they played it so well after the snap, trying to bring everyone back, having that 5 year. I think having that 5 year gap may have been too long, but even then, it just showed that 5 years was not long enough to take to get these characters through the trauma of losing. I think the start where they hunt down Thanos, I think 2 weeks, was it 2 weeks or 3 weeks later, and having him killed there and then by Thor. I actually thought that was a really good idea. And the whole time traveling thing was brilliant. Cap versus Cap, I thought was amazing. Watching 2012 Hulk, 2019 Hulk, or in the MCU case 2023 Hulk reacting to 2012 Hulk, I thought was brilliant. Because it just shows how out of control he was. But yeah, I think it was brilliant. It also set up Loki, which I thought was a pretty good show. But we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, Avengers Endgame is an S tier film. Spider-Man Far From Home, I'm saying B tier. I quite liked Far From Home. I think the idea of having, like, it introduces the multiverse in a way, but then not at the sense. Because it was on about the multiverse with Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, being from another universe, when really he was just from this universe. He was just pretending to be from another. But it gave that glimpse that the multiverse was actually a thing in this, which I thought was actually quite good. Again, Mysterio, I weren't a big fan of. It's another villain motivated by Tony Stark's actions. The plot, I haven't really got about a plot of these films, but the plot as a whole for this one, I thought it was a bit, I won't say stupid. I just weren't a big fan of giving this high school kid these most expensive, like some of the most expensive tech on the world, without any instructions. I've just hit my glass. Without any instructions, and just expecting him to do something with it. I didn't like that whole thing, but yeah, it's a B tier film for me. WandaVision, I've just rewatched WandaVision. I absolutely love it, so I'm gonna say B tier. I think it's better than Far From Home, but not better than Guardians 2. I think the whole thing with Wanda in this show is absolutely gut-wrenching and brilliant. Is gut-wrenching the right term? It might not be, but I just think they did a brilliant job. Showing how she coped with the passing of Vision, I think they handled it perfectly. Obviously, she then. My only problem with this show comes from when Multiverse of Madness was released, because towards the end, she realizes that she's become quite a villain, kidnapping an entire town, keeping them all hostage. But by the end of the show, she kind of redeems it, setting them all free, and then disappearing for a bit. But then it's just kind of forgotten about in Multiverse of Madness, because she comes back as the villain in that. But we'll get onto that in a bit. Overall, I think this show's brilliant. Wanda Maximoff, brilliant. The Vision is brilliant. I even think the kids weren't too that bad. Agatha Harkness, I think she's actually pretty good for what she did. She kind of disguised herself as one of these kidnapped victims, and then later reveals herself as the villain, kind of like a twist villain, sort of. Yeah, kind of like a twist villain. But yeah, I love WandaVision. I think it's great. Black Panther. I'm gonna go back to this one. I'm gonna say A tier. Yeah, I love Black Panther. I think Chadwick Boseman, rest in peace. Obviously, miss you. Wish you were back. I thought he was a perfect casting as Black Panther. Michael B. Jordan's Eric Killmonger as the villain. What a villain! He was so good. I don't know what made him so good, but he was just so good. I've really enjoyed Eric Killmonger. The whole plot of Wakanda being hidden from the world because they don't want to give away their tech and their secrets and everything, I think is actually okay. Normally, I'm not a big fan of that kind of stuff, but I think that was okay because of the greed of some of the characters in the NCU. The whole Ulysses Claw thing I enjoyed. Uh, yeah, Michael B. Jordan, I can't say it, stress it enough. Michael B. Jordan's the perfect villain for this. I loved Shuri. I love how they cope with King T'Chaka's death from Civil War. How he's now the king of Wakanda, and how he's moving on from that. But yeah, I'm gonna say A tier film. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Currently midway through rewatching, I'm gonna say D tier. I think it's better than the Hulk, but not better than Age of Ultron. I think with this one it would have worked better as a film. I think they say it was a film put into 6 episodes of show, but I think if they had just released it as a film, my camera's doing my head in now. I'm really sorry about the camera. I'm gonna try and fix it for next video, but seriously, camera? Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Right, let's get back on track. I think it would have worked better as a film. They said, I think, was it Kevin Feige who said it? I think it was. They were putting pretty much a feature film as a 6-episode show. Didn't think it worked really. Weren't a big fan of Baron Zemo in this one. But, I thought he was really good in Civil War. Perfect villain. To try and tear these Avengers apart. But in Falcon and the Winter Soldier isn't that. I didn't like the girl in it. I think her name's Carly. I liked the fact that US Agent was in it. But having him as the new Captain America, I'm glad they changed it for the last I think it was 2 episodes. I think what they did right with this show is having Sam Wilson take on that mantle towards the end, and seeing him training with the shield, and then at the end with his suit in the final episode saving the day. I thought was brilliant. Quite like Bucky Barnes and how he's trying to make up for everything he did as the Winter Soldier as well. Quite like that aspect of it. But yeah, nothing more than a D tier for me. Loki, I've also just finished rewatching. I'm gonna say it's a high C tier. Yeah. I think it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp, yeah. Loki, for me, after rewatching this, I am actually scared for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania because of how threatening I thought Kang was. I didn't think it was a brilliant finale, but I just thought Kang as a whole in this, at the end of this, was very kind of threatening with how he just manipulated everything. And now he's in control of the TVA and everything. I think the whole show as well with Lady Loki and Loki working together, I thought was done well. Love Owen Wilson as Mobius. Love Owen Wilson in general, to be fair. But yeah, I think it's a C tier show. Black Widow, I gotta say I'm not a fan. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Black Widow. I'd say it's high D tier, better than Age of Ultron, but nothing more. Yeah, not a fan. I think Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow did a pretty good job in this. Yelena Belova as well are pretty good. Love David Harbour as well as Red Guardian. I just think with this one it's just a waste of a villain for me. Taskmaster, yeah, giant waste of a villain. Could have been so much more, but kind of just have a. She has that one bit on the bridge, and then you don't really see her again until the end. And even then, at the end of the film, it's kind of over. But yeah, D tier for me. Wasted villain, but good hero. What if? What if's a funny one. I've again just finished rewatching this. I'ma say C tier. Don't think it's better than Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's just kind of in the middle. What if for me, I enjoyed some of the episodes, but there were some that I just find a bit boring to sit through. I think the best episode by far was if Doctor Strange lost his heart instead of his hands, because that episode is just so upsetting, but it's done so well. I think Marvel Zombies as well was a pretty funny one, and it's even led to a future show coming up, which I'm definitely gonna sit through. Some of the episodes though, however, I've got a bit bored going through, so I think I didn't enjoy uh Killmonger's episode where he saves Tony Stark. And what was there another one I didn't enjoy? I weren't a massive fan of the very first one, Peggy becoming Captain America. I think it was a good idea, just done. I would have done it differently, to be fair. Um, and even in the is it episode 8 where the Watcher recruits the team? Kind of wish we had an episode with Gamora, because she just comes in at episode 8 and we don't actually know anything about that character from that universe. Uh, but I think Infinity Ultron in this quite threatening in this. Yeah, I can't lie. But yeah, what if C tier for me? Shang Chi. I remember seeing this at the cinema. I think it's a B tier. I think it's better than. Yeah, I think it's better than Ant Man. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think it's better. In my opinion, it's better than Ant Man. I love Shang Chi. I think Simu Liu as Shang Chi. Uh, Brilliant casting. Wen Wu as the villain as well. I don't know what makes some of these villains so good, but some of them are just perfect. He's his motivation as well. I thought was brilliant. Because he just wants his wife back, but everyone knows that she can't come back except for him, who believes she can. I think the final battle right at the end with the giant dragon and Shang-Chi versus Wenwu as well. Brilliant. This was the return of Ben Kingsley as well as Trevor Slattery from after seeing him return from Iron Man 3. I think he's brilliant in this. He does so well to be the comic relief in this, and he does an amazing job at it. Can't lie. Oh, I've been talking for that long. I need a drink. But yeah, Shang-Chi B tier film. I love Katie as well. I think she's played by I don't know how you say her name. Aquafina, I think it is. But I think that she was brilliant as well. Yeah. B tier. Eternals. It's an E tier. Yeah, it's an E tier. They hyped up this film. Well, they didn't really hype it up that much. They had a lot. They into how do I explain it? They tried to introduce too many heroes for me. Salma Hayek's character in particular, such a waste of character. She was in the film for a flashback for about 10 minutes, and then she's just gone for the rest of it. Whereas in the trailer, she's hyped up to be the main Eternal, pretty much. I think the idea of Icarus as well, being trying to complete that mission of set by the what's the giant the Celestials. I think set by the Celestials. I think was a bit silly. But yeah, trying to introduce too many characters at once in a film is just not there. I think the best two were Kingo and Fastos, in my opinions. I didn't enjoy Sprite either, to be fair. Hawkeye, I think is an A tier show. I don't think it's better than these, but I think it's an A tier show. I think it's brilliant. It brings in the Kingpin towards the end and kind of like the underground level of the MCU, and shows Hawkeye during this time as Ronan a bit. But yeah, I think it's A tier. Jeremy Renner, Haley Stein. Is it Seinfeld or Steinfeld? I don't know which one it is, but I think they're both brilliant. It introduces, starts to bring in the Netflix. Oh, excuse me. Beg my. That's so rude of me. It starts to bring in with the Netflix Avengers, bringing in the Kingpin, having him as the villain at the end. I think that's actually a really good twist as well. And I just love the whole Christmas aesthetic. This is based around Christmas as well. Yeah. Spider-Man No Way Home. It's an S tier. Oh, I love No Way Home. Seeing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, as well as all the old villains, Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, what was it? Not Michael J. Fox. Jamie Foxx. Why was I thinking Michael J. Fox? Jamie Foxx as obviously Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Electro. I think they were brilliant in this film. Green Goblin is just so threatening in this film, and it makes one of the most gut wrenching scenes in the whole MCU. You end up in tears. Yeah, but it introduces the multiverse, and kind of it doesn't introduce it, just kind of expands upon it, and it just shows life after Far From Home as well. With Mysterio revealing his identity, and I think it played it perfectly. But yeah, S tier film. I don't think it's better than these. I just think it's fifth. Moon Knight. Yeah, I'm saying C. I think it's better than. Do I? Yeah, I'll say it's better than. Yeah, I'll also say it's better than Captain America. Moon Knight for me, I just think it was just a bit boring, kind of, because you have this character with some guy's mental health issues. It just gets a little confusing at times when he's switching back and forth. So in the first episode where he's in the truck and he's going back and forth, one point he's got nothing in his hand. Next minute he's got a gun and a dead guy in the back falling out. I don't. I think Oscar Isaac as Moon as Moon Knight though, really good casting. It kind of. I don't think Ethan Hawke was that threatening as a villain. Kind of. Oh, bloody hell, my throat. Yeah, I don't think Ethan Hawke as a villain was kind of threatening. But overall, I thought the show was just a bit boring and confusing at times because 1 minute you've got this kind of like dark theme to it. Then next minute you're traveling to Egypt looking for a tomb or something. And then next minute you're in the afterlife and then on a boat trying to get back to life and then you're back in Egypt again. Yeah, it just didn't really work for me. I'm not a big fan. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I'm saying, again, C tier. I'm going to put it lower than Ant-Man and the Wasp, but higher than Multiverse of Madness. As I said when I ranked WandaVision, I think this film having Wanda as the villain, I'm not saying it was a bad choice. I'm just saying it kind of undoes the ending to WandaVision of having her kind of her reconcile a bit and coming back as a slight hero, although not very liked amongst the people of Westview. Weren't a big fan of the Illuminati in this. I thought their screen time was a bit low. Then again, it's not an Illuminati film; it's a Doctor Strange film. I also think they were taken out a bit too easily by Wanda and Mr. Fantastic in this. Although I love John Krasinski and how they cast him as Mr. Fantastic because it was such a good idea for a fan cast. He makes the stupidest decision saying that Black Bolt has a mouth for parrot. Yeah, quite liked Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange. The ending for me where he grows the eye out of his head though is nah, not for me. I think Benedict Wong in this as well, as Wong, I think is brilliant. America Chavez in this as well, I think, is alright. This film was directed by Sam Raimi, wasn't it? Yeah, who did the original 3 Spider-Man films. I think he actually did alright with this, yeah. He tried to bring in that horror aesthetic. I think, yeah, it worked well. Not one of my favourites, but not really one of my least favourites, yeah. C tier. Miss Marvel, I have mixed opinions of. But I'm gonna say it's here. It does an amazing job at appealing to the younger audience, having this young teenager coming in as a superhero, and then having that family backstory of them being with the bangles. Is that what they called the bracelet things? The bangles? Yeah. I think it's an incredibly funny show. I can't remember her name, but the person who plays Kamala Khan does an amazing job. What is her name? What is her name? Hang on, let me quickly look. Miss Marvel cast. Iman Vellani, that's it. Yeah, Iman Vellani, I think, did a pretty good job as a Miss Marvel. Who was the villain in this show? There was the damage control people at the end and the family. Yeah, I didn't think they were all that threatening, and clearly not really memorable. But yeah, C tier for me. Thor: Love and Thunder. Everyone has mixed opinions about this. Most people would say down here. Some would say up here. I'm just gonna say it around this area. I think I'm gonna put it there. Yeah, it's a bit of an unpopular opinion. But for me, it kind of took away the seriousness of Thor and tried to make it more of a comedy film. I think I love Korg in Thor Ragnarok, but I think there was just a little bit too much Korg in this one, to the point where he started off funny, but then just came a little bit more annoying as it went along. I think Christian Bale as Gorr the God Butcher was such a good villain, but a wasted villain. Like, he could have been so much more. But they killed him off right at the end. Natalie Portman as the Mighty Thor of Lady Thor. Again, I thought she was kind of wasted, because she was in this role for one film pretty much, and then killed off right at the end. And then the screaming goats in this film are they're not funny to me, they're just really annoying. But yeah, C tier for me. I Am Groot. I'm saying here, high E tier above Captain Marvel. I love the fact it's shorts about Groot. He's one of my favourite guys. He's probably one of my favourite Guardians of the Galaxies. I just think it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I didn't expect it to be 5-minute long films. It made for some interesting cameos, but other than that, yeah, nothing great for me. She-Hulk. Yeah. D tier. I think Tatiana Maslany as She-Hulk was a pretty good casting. Mark Ruffalo obviously returning it as the original Hulk. Yeah, pretty good. The villain in this, what was Titania was one of them. Didn't enjoy Titania at all. With this show, they tried to go with that comedic style lawyer show. I don't think it worked well for the MCU. And the finale at the end, it's such a waste. I hated the finale. This is my least favourite finale out of all of them. They were, I think either way they would have played it out, I don't think it would have gone well. The one way they had to play it well was obviously with the Hulk King becoming a Hulk, Abomination trying to help She-Hulk, and then Hulk coming through the ceiling and then fighting Abomination. That wouldn't have worked for me, and neither did the way they played off with She-Hulk kind of breaking that fourth wall, going into the Marvel headquarters and meeting Kevin the robot. But yeah, such a waste. I think when Charlie Cox came back, that was my favourite episode, the Daredevil episode. Yeah. Didn't like what they did though when they slept together though. I just thought that took the effect off of it. Coming to the end now, we got Werewolf by Night. I think it's actually quite a strong B tier. Yeah. I'm going to say above these guys. Yeah, I think Werewolf by Night is a strong B tier. I watched it a few weeks ago, and I actually really enjoyed it. I loved the werewolf. I liked Elsa Bloodstone. I liked Man Thing. It was at the Halloween special. They tried to. It weren't really that horrifying to me. I think the dynamic between Werewolf and Man Thing at the end of the presentation though is just brilliant to me. And I quite like the idea of... crap. Oh, no. Can I go back? I can, yes. Alright. I like the idea of Werewolf going into this competition to try and help his friend as well. I think that's brilliant. And the fight scene as well with Elsa and the werewolf in the cage, and then he breaks free and gets everyone is brilliant. But last of all is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Out of both presentations, this is my favourite one. I love the Holiday Special. Watched it when it came out, the day it came out actually. And the whole premise of this is just brilliant. Love Drax and Mantis in this. Kevin Bacon as well, absolutely brilliant. The fact that Rocket actually gets Bucky's arm in the end as well makes me laugh. And Drax and his little tiny man. But yeah, brilliant. It actually made it actually got Mantis a pretty badass fight scene as well against the police with his cane. And it also introduced towards the end, spoiler alert, towards the end of the episode, actually shows that Mantis is actually Peter Quill's sister, which I thought was an interesting turn. But yeah, this is my ranking of the MCU saga. Again, there is going to be a few unpopular opinions. This is just my opinion, though. Feel free to leave your opinions down below. What you would change, what you would keep the same. Your thoughts and feelings on each film. If you would like to see me do if you'd like to see me do another tier list video, please let me know down below, and I will find another tier list to do. I've got a few ideas for them. But yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.